Good evening, welcome to my channel. Welcome back. We stopped because we ran out of storage. I cleared the storage and we are back in business. We were talking about South Africa. We are looking at its defense system. We are linking this information to the cost of living crisis, which is caused by people who are wrong in government. They are ignorant, they don't know culture, human culture, so they keep people in poverty deliberately as a strategy to exploit and to destroy the majority of the population in the name of power, access to power, and also remaining in power by treachery and threatening the peace of the world, causing wars and weaponizing capitalism and the wealth, including military system, along with all the social and political infrastructure, and the rest of the infrastructure should be used for peaceful purposes. But this can only be done if people in power are actually are literate in terms of culture. Culture means valuing humanity as a priority. Our priority as rulers of modern world is twisted and perverted. We value everything else except the life of a human being. And that is a simple message, but it is the one causing the cost of living crisis, which is actually a symptom. The cost of living is not the problem. The problem is actually the government policy, which is violent, including closing down the public sector, which is supposed to be there to provide public service to get the majority of the population, the working class, the lower and the middle class, out of poverty. I have labored this point, and you need to listen to it if you are watching this video. And thank you if you have subscribed, if you have watched, if you have shared with family and friends. Continue to do so, and if you are new, welcome to this space. And listen to what I'm trying to say, and I'm so excited I'm saying it. It's a privilege for me even to say, because this is a solution to world problem. It's a solution to bring peace. And leave a comment below and let me know your thought. If you think what I'm saying is right, if you think what I'm saying is wrong, and leave a comment below. If you don't want to say anything, also leave a comment below to say you don't want to say anything. You are happy or you're sad, leave a comment below. I want to know. Thank you for being here. And we're looking at South Africa, but we're doing a literary review. I wouldn't say literary review, we are just doing I am reviewing a material on South Africa, and I'm using it to illustrate the problem of society, which is symptomized by the cost of living crisis. The South African National Defense Force, let's say SANDF, was created in 1994. 1994 is significant because that was when apartheid came to an end. As a volunteer military composed of former South African Defense Forces, the forces of the African Nationalist Group, Umkhonto, we Sizwe, and Azanian people, the original Army, and the former Bantustan Defense Forces. There are so many different dynamical infrastructures in South Africa. And looking at it to do a review of the material and to understand how South Africa is. But our main objective is to actually identify a major problem of society, which is actually which is symptomized by the cost of living crisis and similar crises. You follow the rest of the video in this series, then you will understand more what I'm talking about. In case you are struggling to understand what I'm all about, then leave a comment below and we'll try to enlighten you. Because a lot of the things we are talking about is being repeated in the sense of some people might have missed it, so I have to repeat a few things. If you have been watching my video for a long time as a loyal fan, then you find that a lot of material are being repeated. A lot of the points are being repeated. I'm doing that deliberately so that nobody misses anything. So let us look at this particular the SANDF. Let me this acronym. Let me just pronounce it that the SANDF, the military infrastructure in South Africa, is subdivided into 4 branches. We have the South African Army, the South African Air Force, the South African Navy, the South African Military Health Service, similar to what division you find across the globe because of globalization and harmonization. What happened in one country happened in another. The world is becoming a globalized system, but with violence as part of the major feature with capitalism, which has been weaponized with a conspiracy to destroy humanity by people in power who are actually psychopaths, because they have gone wild, they have gone very, very violent and very crude in their priority, in their behavior because of false priority they have. They no longer prioritize humanity. They have lost the sense of humanity. They do not understand human culture. The cultural system, which is my emphasis, that anybody running the world in a country like South Africa, in government, should be an expert on cultural economy, which is prioritizing humanity to value it. That is the roadmap, the only probably roadmap now left. Peace. We have development, there's a lot of wealth, but we are weaponizing wealth to exclude over 90% of the population from wealth. It is a shame on the world that we still talk about poverty in a modern world, which the wealth is just excessive. Everywhere you look, there is wealth. Therefore, this has to stop. We need to learn our culture and bring peace. So the SANDF consists of around 75,000 professional soldiers of 2019. In recent years, the SANDF has become a major peacekeeping force in Africa and has been involved in operations in Lesotho, the DRC, and the Burundi, among others. Every time we try to work for peace, we create more violence because you see, we miss the point. The point of peace is actually changing our priority as governments, as members of the global communities, changing our priority. Human comes first. We should value humanity first and value other things next. Now, because we as community, we believe like perverts. We value everything else except humans. We have actually cheapened humanity. That's why we kill people. We use power to destroy humanity. So many people are dying. Whether they are traveling in boats, whether they are described as illegal immigrants, they are being murdered on the boats. They are treated worse than wild animals because we are so backward. We have psychopaths, people who are totally evil, totally insane, the ones in power because their priority is poverty. They think of power, they think of wealth. To them, wealth is more important than humans. Power is more important than human life. That's why in Israel, between Israel and Hamas, wherever they are, they're killing each other. In Ukraine, the same thing. The evidence is there. I have been talking about this, and if you care to think about what I've been saying, then join me in talking about it. Because if you keep quiet, then you are counted with the wicked. You should speak. Whether you're speaking silently, you're speaking. Human spirit will listen to you. You don't need to shout like I'm shouting. Meditate upon what is right. To speak truth to power. Even if you don't open your mouth, participate. Change the way you think, value people first. This is the code of peace. Peace building, peace, bringing peace. Even the military will be used for peaceful purposes. Now, right now, everything we do is actually weaponizing processes to destroy. Well, society is defaulted to destroy humanity, which is actually what we behave like blind people without enlightenment. It doesn't matter how educated we are just very dangerous species. Human beings have become very, for one reason, we need to change the way we think. human spice, cultural economy. Take it from me. Thank you so much for being part of this process. So let's look at South Africa. South Africa, we're looking at its military. In recent years, SANDF have been doing peacekeeping around the world, which is a good thing. And they have been working with the United Nations, which is a good thing. And in 2022, the nation spent US dollars $3.069 billion US dollar, 3.069 billion on its armed forces, which is about 0.86% of the national from the nation's entire GDP. Over the years, defense expenditure has been cut as the nation currently faces no external military threats. So be it. So the SANDF are often deployed in crime fighting and whenever the South African police services SAPS are no longer able to control the situation. During the 2021 South African unrest, South Africa's worst violence since the end of apartheid saw the deployment of 25,000 troops, more than 1,000 military helicopters and heavily armed vehicles deployed in the nation KwaZulu, Natal and Gauteng provinces to assist the South African police in ending the riots and looting. This was one of the nation's largest military deployments since 1994. The largest deployment of troops since the end of apartheid was in March 2020, and when 70,000 troops were deployed to enforce the nation's strict lockdown laws to combat the spread of COVID-19. South Africa has a lot of military bases distributed all over the nation. These include 2 naval bases, 9 Air Force bases, and the Army maintained large bases in all 9 provinces of the country. So South African Defense Forces, South African defense industry is the most advanced on the continent, on the African continent, and one of the most advanced in the world. As of 2020, South Africa is the world's 24th largest arms exporter, the only nation in South Africa. In Africa, the nation designed many types of weapons that range from armored fighting vehicles to ballistic missiles. Notable South African-made weapons, including which includes the Rachel IFV, the world's first wheeled infantry fighting vehicle. South Africa also made its own attack helicopter known as the Rooivalk, which is known to be one of the most advanced attack helicopters in the world. If you hear these weapons of mass destruction, you think they are being created in South Africa or anywhere else, because it's similar to what is happening around the world. You would think that they are actually being designed to fight aliens. They are actually being designed to fight humans. So who are these people in government who are actually involved in threatening the entire existence of humanity? Why are we like this? Why are we preparing for war against people? Because we have lost our culture, our understanding of our culture. We value other things more than humans. Simple as that. And that's why I'm using the cost of living crisis to illustrate a deeper problem in society. Like I said, if you have watched, you're watching this video, watch the rest also to understand the way I'm trying to handle these materials. And in recent years, the R16 billion rand, I think it's called rand, it's the money of South Africa. R16 billion, 1 billion pounds contract was signed with the local defense industry, which aims to produce 244 units of Badger IFV for the SANDF. This old military equipment being built to to defend against who? Are there aliens invading the world? No. These are actually weapons against humanity, to destroy, to kill people. Let's say for that. So whether you are in power or out of it, you need to be educated about humanity. You start valuing humanity. That's the simple message. And the cost of living is there because we do not value humanity. As countries, people in power are bankrupt, they are corrupt, they are corrupted capitalism, so that there is poverty among the many. Stealing money from the hands of the few, the many giving it to the hands of the few. This is a form of robbery. Robbery is a form of corruption, which is now happening by those in power, in government, and also in businesses across the globe, including in South Africa. And that is my argument, the basis of my arguments. And we need to change that now, so that we get rid of poverty and start solving other problems. But first, we need to change the way we think about people first. Now we value dogs and cats. It is good to value dogs and cats, but we cannot value anything else more than we value human beings. It doesn't. You see, being poor does not give you a certificate for being stupid and ignorant. Stupidity and ignorance is actually devaluing humanity. You don't value people, including your life. There are people who are now committing suicide because they fear poverty. Poverty is not more important than your life. Stop committing suicide. Whether you're a young person, whether you are an adult, doesn't matter how poor you are. Do not devalue your life because you are human, you are special. For goodness sake, you are the only one. There are 8 billion people. You are only one of you. You cannot live like ignorant people. Learn your culture, value your life. It doesn't matter how hard things are. Things will be okay because you are a human being. You will always survive. You will always find a solution to a problem. So let us not allow confusion to destroy our lives and the lives of people we care about. And that's why I'm talking about the cost of living to illustrate a deeper problem of society. South Africa is the only African country to have successfully deployed nuclear weapons. It became the first country, followed by Ukraine, with the nuclear capability to voluntarily renounce and dismantle its program, and in the process signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty in 1991. That is probably one thing South Africa did, but it doesn't matter whether we disarm ourselves or not. We will find other ways of killing each other if we don't understand our culture. I keep on repeating this point. And if you're watching this, try to understand this and start applying this principle in your life. Change the way you think. Think human first. Even food is not as important as a human life. If you're given the choice between food and human life, you take your life first because you are going to get food later. A human being who is determined to survive will always survive with or without food. We will find something. So we preserve humanity first, and then we protect other things. That is what I'm trying to talk about. That's the reason I'm talking, to use the cost of living crisis as an instrument of illustrating what is actually a fundamental problem: failure of our culture, failure of prioritizing humanity. So let's go back to reviewing this material. South Africa undertook a nuclear weapons program in the 1970s. South Africa is alleged to have conducted a nuclear test over the Atlantic in 1979, although this is officially denied. The clerk maintained that South Africa had never conducted a clandestine nuclear test. The 6 nuclear devices were completed between 1980 and 1990, but all were dismantled by 1991. In 2017, South Africa signed the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which is a good sign, but no thanks. With or without it's something worse than nuclear nuclear power, ignorance about the value of humanity, failure of culture. Keep repeating this point. Thank you for watching this material, and continue watching, continue supporting, and let's look at law enforcement and crime in South Africa. This is the police, the law, and similar things. Officers of South African Police Service, the Vector R5 rifle on parade in Johannesburg 2010. This is up in the material. It's in information. It's a picture here of South African police. So law enforcement in South Africa is primarily the responsibility of the South African Police Services, SAPS. South Africa's National Police Force, SAPS, is responsible for the investigation of crime, investigating crimes and security throughout the country. The South African Police Service has over 1,154 police stations across the country and over 150,950 officers. In 2023, the Special Task Force SAPS placed ninth at the international SWAT competition out of 55 law enforcement teams from across the world, making it the best in Africa. So South Africa, as the world's largest private security industry, with over 10,380 private security companies and 2.5 million private security personnel, of which over 556,000 are active, making it bigger than the South African police force and military combined. Now, this is actually evidence of privatization of public service, which is wrong, because it means the majority of the population will be left out. Now, as we privatize the economy, we actually shut down the public sector. So public service will not be provided for people who are the majority of the world. So in the future, the police and the military will not be available for the majority of people who are actually excluded economically from society. This is the form of violence. So security and law enforcement will only be available for the few and not the many. The multimillionaires and the multimillionaires will have access to protection, but the rest of the population will not. This is actually a way of annihilating humanity, because the poor will die first and the rich will die second. This is actually caused by cultural failure, failing to value humanity, valuing other things except humanity. This is a form of rottenness in our modern society, and this is why there is the cost of living crisis, which shouldn't even have occurred. A lot of all other problems which are crises are also happening, like the credit crunch of 2007 and 8 should not have happened. But because we are so stupid and poorly educated culturally, especially the ones in power who are multimillionaires and billionaires, their fellow friends in power, in political position, are actually messing up the world big time because of failure to listen. Listen to this video. If you have an MP, share it with your MP, ask them in South Africa or wherever you are, because the videos are similar. I'm using different countries to prove that the world is being globalized, because what I talk about in South Africa is actually repeated in every other country. I'm trying to go through, because I've already said so many things, made so many claims. So I'm doing a review of literature material to actually back up the things I've said in the other videos and also in this video. And so listen to it carefully and apply your mind. At the core of this conversation is actually the drawing attention to a need to value humanity, which is what I refer to as cultural economy. Especially if you're in power, you have to listen to this video and start teaching your fellow power brokers, whether in business, that to bring peace, we need to really value humanity. If we fail to value humanity as a priority, number one priority is valuing humanity. If we fail, we are not going to bring peace. It doesn't matter what we do. We are going to be not only wasting our time, but making our life very we put our life at risk, and we face extinction as a species. And this is the truth. So you better listen to what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. You may not be sounding. I said something very serious, but it is very serious. Listen to it. South Africa, as the world's largest private security, like I already said that, and privatization is wrong because it actually deprived the many from accessing public services, including security services. It only provided for the few and not for the many. So, because see, in future, the private security infrastructure, whether in South Africa or anywhere else, is going to close down. As long as nobody is buying it, as long as we continue to exclude 90% and more from the economy, the economy is going to fail to provide for more, but only available for less, because businesses do operate on the basis that the business is making profit. When a businessman or woman tells you the business is actually being efficient, it means it's making profit. It cannot make profit. It cannot make profit if there's no money. I mean, if the 90% of people are excluded from wealth, from money, because they cannot access job, employment is closing down because of technology. And technology is a good thing. Without violence, it should be a good thing. You should be able to help people to live more freely. But because of ignorance or culture, which is actually a failure to put humanity first, because of failing to put humanity first, this level of ignorance may sound trivial, but it is so essential in helping us to secure the future of humanity, our own existence. You see, we face existential extinction. There are a group who call themselves existential. I mean, I think they call themselves extinction rebellion. They are rebelling against destroying the environment, which is a good thing to do. I am not promoting rebellion, but I'm just talking. I prefer education. That's why I'm talking. Like I'm talking now, I prefer people to learn. Sit, listen, and learn. Change the way you think, because information and knowledge is supposed to bring peace. Change. And change, if it is positive, if it is peaceful, it's going to bring peace, because our practice represent our knowledge, our enlightenment. This is a point I'll be repeating over and again. So let us go back to looking at this material and use it to illustrate the point we are actually trying to talk about. The point we are trying to illustrate. Private security mainly provide assistance to the South Africa, to South African police service shops to combat crimes throughout the country, which is at face value that is right. But I see what I said is that privatizing public sector is wrong, because in the long term it will lead to a shutdown of society. Literally, the economy will shut down, beginning with the public sector, but the private sector will also close down, because less and less people are going to have access to wealth because of lack of employment, because of lack of shutting people of accessing wealth, the majority. And if they don't have money, they cannot pay for private security. Private security, therefore, as an example, private security will be available for the few who are multimillionaires and multimillionaires. And within this reasoning, even private security as a national asset will be closed down, and because of privatization. And this is replicated throughout the country, throughout the countries of the world, and throughout the sectors. When you privatize public sector, it closes down ultimately, because people will be having, because you see, if technology comes to take away jobs, the public sector and the public service is supposed to be there to provide income for the rest of the majority, so that they can participate in the market to buy goods and services. If they cannot, which is what is going to happen, if they cannot buy goods and services, it means they're going to be excluded from wealth of the nation across the globe. And once that happens, it means the economy will close down because private companies only sell goods and services. If there are people who are buying it, if there are people who exist in society who do not have money, who do not have wealth, and if that is happening, then the private companies will shut down because they're not making profit. They are actually customers they are supposed to serve are actually poor. They are excluded because of they don't have employment, they don't have jobs, they don't have different resources. Therefore, this will actually close societal shutdown. Only a tiny bit of the economy will be left for the few and not the many. Therefore, this means with privatization in the long run, maybe in 500 and 1,000 years to come, privatization will create a situation where only the few, 10 to 15%, will have access to anything at all. The rest of the population can now go to another planet, maybe Mars. If Mars now habitable, then they will have to leave the world, the Earth, because they have no access. They are being shut out of the economy. This is the problem with privatization. The problem with capitalism, because as long as good wealth is supposed to trickle down the economy under capitalism, but it does not, because those who are actually rich have a way of hoarding wealth. You see, rich people don't invest in the economy unless they are going to make money. You see, they don't care whether humans actually access wealth or not. They only invest if they are going to make money. They don't do anything. They shut down the economy unless they're making profit. And this actually, people need to understand it. Private companies do not sell product to you because they value you. They sell goods and services not because they value customers. They don't value customers. What business people do, they value money and wealth. That is why they are in business. And they are right. Because the purpose of business is actually to make money, not to really provide welfare. Welfare is supposed to be provided by public sector, by a different system which is actually part of capitalism, which is part of the market system. This is why I've been talking to also prove that the cost of living crisis is evidence of the public sector failure, which is a public policy failure by the government. The government is responsible for most of these problems because the government, and especially those who run the government, are culturally uneducated. They are dangerous people. They need re-educating to prioritize humanity over power, over wealth, and all the other things. This is what I've been saying, and I'm excited about this conversation. As of February 2023, South Africa has the 6th highest crime rate in the world. From April 2017 to March 2018, on average, 57 murders were committed each day in South Africa. In the year ended March 2017, there were 20,336 murders, and the murder rate was 35.9% per 100,000, over 5 times higher than the global average of 6.2%, 100,000 per se. Now, people kill each other because they are culturally ignorant, not for any reason. Because if you are actually enlightened culturally, you don't kill another person because you value them. If you value the life of a dog or a cat, you don't kill your cat, you don't kill your dog. And as much you don't kill another human being at all. You don't commit crime, you don't steal their property if you value them, if you value their property. Because that is my argument about cultural enlightenment, cultural economic enlightenment. Valuing people, valuing their property, valuing yourself, valuing your property. It's about value. It's about value system. we need to learn this now as humanity. We have gone astray because of many reasons. We are, as humanity, we have gone off course. We need to come back on track in terms of our society, in terms of our discourses, in terms of progress. Our main focus going forward now is to focus on the culture, which the point I've repeated over and again. And I'm happy I have done it. Now I'm happy I'm also continuing to do it. So in the year ended, that's what I'm trying to say is that in the year ended March 2017, there were 20,336 murders, and the murder rate was 35.9% per 100,000, over 5 times higher than the global average of 6.2% per 100,000 people. More than 526,000 South Africans were murdered from 1994 to 2019, because apartheid has been very evil. It has corroded human value, and that's why I would only guess the reason for that is because of cultural failure in South Africa. Because South Africa has been one of probably the most evil country in the world in modern times because of apartheid. No doubt, it's a shame or an attempt on humanity, and we all of us should be ashamed of South Africa because of apartheid. We're ashamed of our life because apartheid, like the cost of living crisis, is a symptom of our humanitarian failure. The lesson from South Africa should enforce the view of our need to culturally be enlightened, valuing humanity as a priority. And once we start doing that, beginning now, changing our priority in terms of education, in terms of industry, trade, politics, economics, and society generally, even our valuing environment will change. This is the code for peace, and I invite you to listen to this video and support it. Leave a comment below, subscribe, share with family and friends. Don't enjoy it alone, enjoy it with family and friends. So let us say smash and grab hotspot sign in the retreat Cape Town. South Africa has a high rape rate with 43,195 rapes reported in 2014-15, and a low number of sexual assaults during are going unreported. You don't rape somebody if you value them. This goes back to my point. You think about this. You don't rape anybody, whether in South Africa, whether in Africa, whether in Europe or wherever. You don't rape them if you value them. Our culture is terrible, in a terrible state, and we need to stop and learn. There is hope, because we have the capacity to change our minds. That is probably the only hope we have, our mindset. We can change it. We can actually, once we get the right information, especially from this video, because probably this video is the only material in the world talking about cultural economy as a tool for changing society, to bring peace. Probably the only material in the world. So it has to be valued. If you don't value it, that is fine, but you need to think twice, because I am the only one talking about cultural economy as a key to bringing world peace, which is also securing the future of humanity. This is a big claim, and this is a big situation, and I'm excited to be part of the process. And let us carry on with our discourses, with our dispensation, looking at what is happening in South Africa. A 2009 survey, 1,738 made in KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape. And Eastern Cape, by the Medical Research Council, found 1 in 4 men admitted to raping someone and another survey of 4,000 women in Johannesburg by CIET Africa found 1 in 3 said they had been raped in the past year. Women and men are responsible for rape, but men by default are more responsible for rape because people don't value each other. Women don't value men, men don't value women. And then because you could argue that rape is gender specific. Men tend to rape women, but by law, women can also rape men. But when we talk about rape, it's almost always gender specific. But gender specific or otherwise, the reason men rape women because as human species we don't respect one another, one way or the other. Women may appear to be innocent, but every time there is a problem, somebody is responsible somewhere. Although in terms of rape, men are more responsible than women. But women, if they are raped, they should also take responsibility, even if they are victims. There is something along the line they have done to create a situation where men rape them. Maybe they are drunk, they are on drugs, they are pretending to enjoy freedom which doesn't exist in practice because we are backward culturally. See, we need to understand this fundamentally, that we have a wrong way as humans to understand the way we value humanity and also respect. Because value equal respect, respect equal care and responsibility. We talk a lot about human rights, but human responsibility is missing. We need to understand the necessity for taking responsibility for what we do or what we don't do, and thereby improving the way we value our life, we value our property and the life of other people, their property, their spaces. I think we can make this, we can succeed in changing the way we think, teaching others. We are expert learners, and that's a major source of hope for us as a human species. We can learn and become good, better people, and better people are actually evident. Whether you're a bad person or not is evident by whether you respect yourself and respect other people. The respect agenda, as we speak, it needs to be redefined and also recalibrated within the educational system, whether in the home, in community, in education, at schools or universities. Should be the packaging thing. If you are a public figure, you should go back to school to learn cultural economy, valuation, valuing humanity as a priority. Value your power, value your wealth, value your office, value your responsibility, but humanity should come first. This is important. And thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being part of this economy, this dispensation. Let's look at this material again. In South Africa, rape occurs most commonly within relationships. Can you imagine? Relationship, but many men and women say that rape cannot occur in relationships. However, 1 in 4 women reported having been abused by an intimate partner. This is even worse. It's a worst survey on earth. It's even proving my point of valuing humanity. Because if you value your partner, how can you rape them? That is the question. We take responsibility for all this, whether it is happening to our neighbors as members of the community. We need to take responsibility and support one another as members of the community, as family members, and as individuals in a relationship, whether out of relationship. There is always an element of relationship between people, whether you are actually in partnership, whether you are dating or somebody or not. We are humans, and we learn the value of humanity and access the plane of cultural transformation. We begin to even get rid of the idea of stranger. We are strangers because that means we are enemies. How can you be an enemy of a human being? Look at Israel, look at Hamas in the Middle East. They're killing each other because they are clueless. Even the head of states, people like the president of the prime minister of the head of government in Israel, of Hamas, Palestinian, whatever. They do not know what they're doing. And see, you may think I am over exaggerating, but I am not. They need cultural learning, valuing humanity first. While we establish this principle and begin to apply, peace will begin to come. And factors such as the cost of living crisis will not even be mentioned. Poverty will disappear. They will move and move with peace. Humans will stop fighting humans. Aliens will come to visit us and respect us, because if aliens come from outer space today and find a state of humanity, they will disrespect us. They will even start killing us. And if we say, why are you killing us, aliens? They say, you are human beings. You have been killing each other. You are disrespectful to yourself. We are from outer space. Why should we respect you? But the opposite is really the case. If aliens from outer space visit us and find that we are respectful, we are peaceful, they will be doing the way we do. If they don't do the way we do, we will kick them out. Right? Go back to where you came from. And if we don't respect, and if we don't do what we do, which is being respectful, compliance with the cultural economic requirements. Thank you for continuing to watch, and we are doing very well. I'm glad I'm doing this video, and if you're lucky enough to watch it, share with your family and friends. Make sure you don't enjoy it alone, and pay attention to what I'm saying, because it's very important for you and for me as well, as member of a human family. Rapes are also perpetrated by children, some as young as 10. How can you actually abuse children if you value children? These are human children. We value children. Let us value children, yes. Let us also value dogs and cats. Let us value nature. I'm talking about prioritizing humanity over anything else. As simple as that. It is not simplistic, because it's really complicated to achieve what I'm saying. Even to get people to believe what I'm saying, because people tend to believe that, okay, how can you say merely valuing humanity is going to bring peace? Because humans are the one running the world. The people in government are humans. They are the one running the world. They are responsible for animals, for nature, for everything happening. Humans are active, and they can learn. They can learn to solve any problem. The reason we are slow to progress in other areas of development, like medicine, like research to protect, maybe to prolong life, maybe to bring people back from the dead, we can do that because human can do anything. In terms of technology, medicine, we can achieve anything. The reason we are delayed, maybe we may not even achieve, because we do not respect people. We are disrespectful. We are culturally really in turmoil. And I'm really happy to talk about this. So rapes are also perpetrated by children. How can children rape people? Because we didn't teach them well. We didn't teach them to have respect. See, it's not good enough for you to tell a child to be respectful. When they see that you are disrespectful, you are always insulting your husband, you're insulting your wife, you're punching your wife, you're saying bad things. Even some scientists say children hear things even if they are still in the womb. They begin learning when they're in the womb. And you're saying really disrespectful things to your wife, you're saying disrespectful things to your husband, and the children hear it. Children learn by seeing. You learn by doing what your parents do. If your parents are doing the right thing, you do the right thing by default. It's easy. Well, it's easier than, it's less costly even when you are already culturally astute, you are culturally enlightened. Your children will follow on your footsteps. Now, if you are culturally really worthless, you swear, you smoke drugs, you drink dangerous drinks and eat unhealthy food, your child will do the same thing. See, you despise work, you abuse money, you don't know even how to budget, you don't value what you have, you don't value your property, including your home. You don't clean it, you don't base properly, your children will do exactly what you have been doing. And even worse, because if they learn, they're going to be really better at doing what they learn. Which if you learn the right thing, they're going to be even better at doing the right thing than their parents. And so children committing rape, we have seen it from adults. No doubt about that. And if we change it, South Africans as members of the global community, respecting people, respecting their property, their life, we begin to take care of our life, we begin to take care of one another. This message must go out, and I'm pleased made this video. Support me, support my channel, and do the rightful thing, do the needful, share with family and friends. The incident of child and infant rape is among the highest in the world, largely as a result of the virgin cleansing myth and the number of high-profile cases, sometimes as young as 8 months, outrage the nation. Now, this is actually a form of evil. There is no cleansing. Some cultural rituals are actually the product of cultural failure. When you do strange things with children, ridiculously indecent things in the name of culture, well, it is actually uncultural in the first place. Because you see, the code is respect. The code is valuable. A form of insanity only comes when you begin to disrespect people. You hide behind superstitions, some strange form of spiritual behavior, spirituality, rituals. You start behaving like an idiot. That's why how important you think you are. You begin to abuse children, and this is exactly what I'm trying to say. People say they are following culture, but they are actually uncultural in their behavior. In the first place, the things people do hiding behind culture and tradition. It is so ridiculous because it doesn't show they respect dignity, they respect people or themselves. It's nonsense. So the incident between 1994 and 2018, there were more than 500 xenophobic attacks against foreigners in South Africa. The same. The 2019 Johannesburg riots were similar in nature and origin to the 2008 xenophobic riots that also occurred in Johannesburg. We are going to look at the administrative division of South Africa. If you watch this video, watch the rest also, because they are quite related. The administrative division of South Africa and provinces of South Africa. This is how they run their country in South Africa. The same similar with the rest of the world. If you live in a country, what I'm discussing here institutionally, in terms of social and political institutions in South Africa, the same with what you find as well. They are all related to capitalism and the idea of freedom, democracy, and all that. South Africa, each of the 9 provinces is governed by the unicameral legislature, which is elected every 5 years by party list proportional representation. So their electoral system actually uses something called PR, proportional representation. In the UK, the Liberal Democrats are advocating for proportional representation. And unicameral is actually means it's one party system. It's kind of like a one parliamentary forum. Compared to Britain, the United Kingdom as a bicameral, they also common in the House of Lords. That should give you an idea what a unicameral means, which is what makes South Africa slightly unique. Probably interesting in terms of constitution and also political institution, political and administrative institution. So the legislature elects a premier as head of government, and the premier appoints an executive council as a provincial cabinet. The powers of provincial government are limited to topics listed in the Constitution. These topics, these topics, what are we saying? These topics include such fields as health, education, public housing, and transport. This is similar to what happened in the rest of the world. The provinces are in turn divided into 52 districts, 8 metropolitan and 44 district municipalities. The district municipalities are further subdivided into 205 local municipalities. The metropolitan municipalities, which govern the largest urban agglomeration, perform the function of both district and local municipalities. This is administrative infrastructure and outlook of South Africa. Quite similar, may not be the same with what you find in your country, but quite similar in terms of logic and arrangements. Because of globalization, because of capitalism, which is supposed to be global. One thing in one country is similar to another thing in another country. So let's look at the economy of South Africa. So we're looking at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, JSE, which is actually the largest stock exchange on the African continent and the 17th largest in the world, with the market capitalization of 1.36 trillion. That it means wealth. That also means the cost of living as a crisis should not occur in South Africa. I already looked at other African countries like Kenya and Uganda, and also look at Africa generally, but the United Kingdom and all these other places, and just to give provide information to show poverty should not be existing anywhere in the country except policy failure, policy and practice failure. Disrespectful leaders, culturally uneducated, violent, only thinking of money, wealth, and power, not thinking of people in the way they should. So this is what is causing the cost of living crisis, and that's why I'm talking about the cost of living crisis as a symptom of the larger problem of capitalism. And capitalism itself is not really a problem, but the people running it are uneducated, poorly educated. They are like spoiled brats. They should go back to school and learn about cultural economy, valuing humanity as a priority. South Africa has a mixed economy. South Africa's economy is the most industrialized and technologically advanced in Africa, respectively. It has the second largest economy in Africa after Nigeria and the 39th largest in the world. It also has a relatively high gross domestic product (GDP) per capita compared to other countries in sub-Saharan Africa. US dollar 16,080 purchasing power parity is on 2013, ranking at the 5th. Despite this, South Africa is still burdened by a relatively high rate of poverty and unemployment, and is ranked in the top 10 countries in the world income inequality measured by the Gini coefficient. That's what I've been precisely what I've been talking about. Because the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer because of failure of capitalism, failure of public policy, which is actually destroying the public sector, destroying public service instead of strengthening the public policy, instead of improving public sector and also expanding the public service to get everyone from the world out of poverty. Government is doing the opposite, is shutting down the public sector because there are morons in power who are actually totally clueless what they do. They behave like toxic assets, which are actually psychopathic. They're so violent, they're so reckless, they're very dangerous individuals who should learn to prioritize humanity, to value humanity over and above anything else. And that is maybe simple, and it is, but it's not simplistic because it takes persuading, and it's going to take time I believe people will come to their senses, especially if they watch this video, because this video is very important. I'm so glad I'm recording it. People should really take care to, maybe you don't want to watch it, download it and keep it somewhere. One day you will find time and actually watch the video and come to your senses and join me in campaigning to improve humanity, so that we begin to improve the humanitarian outlook and also invest in infrastructures to improve the peace of the world. Thank you for watching, and I'm also privileged being part of this process. South Africa is ranked 4th by total wealth, making it the second wealthiest country in Africa. In terms of the private wealth, South Africa has the private wealth of 651 billion, making South Africa's population the richest in Africa, followed by Egypt with 307 billion, and Nigeria with 228 billion. Those are statistics. As we review this material, approximately 55.5%, 30.3 million people of the population is living in poverty at the national upper poverty line, while a total of 13.8 million people, 25% of the population, are experiencing food poverty. Food poverty is the worst survey, the worst element of survey on humanity. Humanity today should be totally, wherever you are, should be totally ashamed of yourself that the countries of the world are still languishing in food poverty. And food poverty, along with energy poverty, is responsible for triggering the cost of living crisis. If government has any sense of duty, strengthening the public sector to provide public services to people who need it, the 90% of people who work for them who need help from the government. Meaning the government should have actually not weakened to close public sector, have actually strengthened to expand it, to get people out of poverty. The cost of living as a crisis would never have been a reason. And if they change policy today to get people out, increase the minimum wage in every country, and if people don't work, they should actually be given a grant at a high level, because the rate and also the way to access grants, government grants like benefits in the UK or insurance in other parts of the world, or some other form of wealth, accessing it should be extremely easy. Now you see the benefit system, the grants helping people who are sick, who are unemployed in countries like the UK, America. It's almost impossible to access it because it's deliberately made to be just like housing is a form of welfare benefit. People may not actually understand that housing, public housing for people who cannot afford to buy. These are actually the majority of the population of the world. They cannot afford housing in the proper sense of the housing, which means it is a permanent building. It is actually fully contained. It has water, running water, electricity, sanitated, and maybe 2 to 3 bedroom permanent property, which will last 300 to 400 years. This is what I mean by property. No, I'm not talking about shelters, which last for 2-3 years, and then you have to like some of these shelters found like tents almost in Africa. Mud houses, grass thatch houses, which are actually not classed as proper housing. I mean proper housing, which actually are stable and secure across the globe. Anywhere, this should have been available by every government. The global government should have done this now, and they should start doing this now. If they begin to value, to change the system, to teach actually the population to value humanity, as in learning the cultural economy. I keep saying this again. I'm so happy I'm saying this. I also hope you're happy listening to it. In 2015, 71% of net wealth are held by 10% of the population, whereas 60% of the population has only 7% of the health wealth. This is to prove the point I'm actually claiming. The claim I'm making is not empty, it's true. And the Gini coefficient of 0.63%, whereas in 1996 it was 0.65. The rich are the few actually controlling almost all the wealth. The many are actually languishing in poverty. I've been saying this throughout all my videos. Unlike most of the world's poor countries, South Africa does not have a thriving informal economy. Only 50% of South African jobs are in the informal sector, compared with around half in Brazil and India and nearly 3/4 of Indonesia. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, attributes these differences into South Africa's widespread welfare system. So the welfare system should be strengthened. This can only be done by the public sector. If you're closing down the public sector, how can the welfare system improve, including education, healthcare, public transport, housing, public housing? And public housing, by the way, should be built and given freely to people. You shouldn't be renting public. It's a contradiction in terms. It's actually very stupid for the government to build houses and ask people to rent it. Build house and give it to people. The permanent property, give it to people who cannot afford to buy, and don't even tax them. Don't make people pay council tax on property, because that is actually opening doors to homelessness. I mean, if you don't pay your council tax, you can go to like poll tax or any of those tax, which are actually mandatory, which is a criminal offense if you fail without good reason. People can be taken to prison. Why do you harass poor people? Let the rich people pay all the taxes. You see, if you earn £500,000 per annum upward, pay tax. Across the globe, we don't even need tax that much. All the government has to do is really readjust the way it operates. Try to speak to educate wealthy people, not to waste money or unnecessary investments like going into space. You can go into space if everybody is now out of poverty. Why do you invest in things like SpaceX and all these other things? Artificial intelligence is not even necessary. If people are still, the majority of the population are still in poverty, which means you are a very dangerous, wealthy person. And this has actually tainted the reputation of capitalism. So Johannesburg is the financial capital of South Africa and the African continent. After 1994, government policy brought down inflation, stabilized public finances, and some foreign capital was attracted. However, the growth was still subpar. Now, it doesn't matter how much we grow the economy, the money goes into the hand of the few and taken from the hand of the many. This is a problem of culture, where we stop value of humanity and we distort the economic policy, such as we have done by closing down the public sector and public services, instead of increasing it, expanding it, so to speak. From 2004 onward, economic growth picks up significantly. Both employment and capital formation increased. During the presidency of Jacob Zuma, the government increased the role of state-owned enterprise SOEs and state-owned enterprises public sectoral investment, which is actually now being shut down. And that's why the cost of living crisis is out of control. But even if you operate the public sector, the income issue needs to be addressed by the public sector by increasing the amount of income for the many, either by providing welfare in terms of housing, healthcare, and grants, and also in terms of the minimum wage should go up. These factors will actually eradicate poverty, along with the cost of living or something similar to the cost of living crisis. Some of the biggest SOEs are Eskom, the electric power monopoly, South Africa's Airways SAA, and the Transnet, the railroad, and the port monopoly. Some of these SOEs are not being profitable, such as SAA, which has required a penthouse totaling around 30 billion to $2.03 billion, over the 20 years preceding 2015. Like I said previously, private companies are there to make profit. If they don't make profit, they have no value. So they close down, and in so closing down, they only leave enough for people who can spend, who has money. In other words, if we privatize the entire economy, you're going to exclude the 90% of the population from accessing any goods and services, which means in practice people are going to die of poverty in a privatized world, because private businesses are going to close down. They will only leave enough section, maybe 5% of the economy, to supply goods and services to the super rich, because the super rich will be the only people with money. With technology replacing human labor, the major source of income being actually employment, if that happens, more and more people are going to be poor, excluded financially, excluded in terms of wealth because of unemployment. And the government will be absent because of shutting down the public sector. And therefore, unemployment is going to destroy poor people who form 90% of the population, who need to work for a living. While that happens, there is going to be mass extinction of the human species. And this is not a joke. This is a very serious matter. It's going to happen beginning now. Beginning now. People will start going into concentration camps because they cannot pay rent. They cannot pay their mortgages. They cannot really buy food or energy. And the government will push them into prisons. Concentration camps in the form of prison. From there, the government still need money, taxpayers' money, to help people who are in concentration camps. Otherwise, they are not going. Diseases are going to kill them. Hunger, cold, exposure is going to kill them within maybe 5 to 10 years. Those concentration camps will be shut down. Humanity will go extinct. At least the majority will die first, and then the minority will also die. Because you see, what kills one human is going to kill another. Doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor, because the same ignorance, the same violence, killing the majority of the population, is going to kill the few, also who are multimillionaires or multi-billionaires. Money does not protect you if you are culturally illiterate. That is the basis. It's going to be a dangerous weapon. You give a little product in the hand of a child who is actually mentally deranged, it's going to destroy itself and other people. This is what is now happening with the wealth relations in the world, including South Africa. And that's what is causing the cost of living crisis. That's why I'm talking, because this is important. Principal international trading partners of South Africa, besides other African countries, include Germany, the United States, China, Japan, and the United Kingdom, and Spain. The 2020 Financial Secrecy Index ranks South Africa as the 58th safest tax haven in the world. Tax haven is a form of theft which is legalized by the state, who favor the wealthy, who are allowed to evade, to avoid tax. And this is actually a form of injustice and a form of violence by the state, which is actually gone insane to allow the super rich to not pay taxes. How ridiculous is that? People who are already poor, who are suffering the cost of living crisis, are actually supposed to pay tax. But people who are so rich, they don't even know what to do with their money, are not allowed to avoid paying taxes. That is the world we are living in. It's worse than a jungle. And it's a ticking time bomb in terms of security, in terms of environmental destruction, food, energy security, you name it. We need to change, learn our culture, respect people, value them. Due to aridity of the land, only 13.5% can be used for crop production, and only 3% is considered high potential land. In a country like South Africa, aridity should not be a problem, because the amount of wealth lying idle, being dished to the super rich. The government should use that within the public sector, within the public policy jurisdiction, to improve irrigation schemes. If necessary, the government of South Africa should take over the production of food or actual agriculture entirely, to leave only a few for the super rich if they want to own land, so that we have a parallel economy for the super rich, an economy for normal people. Economy for normal people should be run by the state, including agriculture, including fertilization, seed, irrigation. Every government of the world in modern times, with the level of technology we have, we shouldn't lack energy, we shouldn't lack water. Israel now is actually desalinating seawater to irrigate its land. If Israel can do it, America, Europe, Asia, including China, and also Africa can do it as a country. So, failure of policy, especially public policy, is creating this wealth in a way which is palpable in the legal sense of the word. And this should be actually a story of a country sinking in ignorance and disobedience and a form of violence which is actually psychopathic, cultural failure at its worst context. Need to change now. People who cannot learn peace should quit being in government. They should give up some of their wealth, or all of it. Though the state, which is practicing sanity, should actually take away wealth from worthless people. Doesn't matter how much you know how to create wealth, you are totally insane because you do not respect humans. You respect your wealth more than human beings. You are not worth the money you have made. Well, you made money because you're clever at making money, but that is not a priority, because that is a form of violence. It's dangerous. You should be an expert in making money, yes, but number one, the primacy of your expertise is actually respect for people. If this happens, then there will be a peace process and ultimately achievement of peace. And this is important. I've been repeating it over and again. I'm glad I'm doing this. So in August 2013, South Africa was ranked as the top African country of the future by FDI intelligence based on the country's economic potential, labor environment, and co-effectiveness and cost-effectiveness, infrastructure, business friendliness, and foreign direct investment strategy. Now we are going next time to look at mining in South Africa, as in minerals. So we are stopping this video here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting my channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.